What's up, guys? Danielle Laurie here, stepping on my dog's tail. Rise and grind from the playing field to parenthood. Me and Alex Gomez. We were able to go back-to-back weeks, and I'm impressed with that. That is a victory. We are winning. I'm going to keep it somewhat short and sweet today. Kind of recap a couple things from the weekend, and then dive into just kind of some stuff with kids, and that's it. So I thought it would be kind of just fun to, for sure, recap my weekend of going to Arizona and getting the chance to see Nyjah. First and foremost, I'm the biggest Nyjah fan ever.
You're a fangirl, for sure.
I am a fangirl. I fangirl over pitchers that are able to have an ERA below 1 in this day and age. So Carlin Pickens is up there too, because I do really feel like, it's funny. I was on a call with a coach this morning and just talking about how it's so much harder for pitchers these days. Obviously, we know the data and all the things that hitters have scouting reports on, but strike zones are smaller.
I texted you. I was like, they were squeezing the crap out of her on those corners. Because I mean, that screwball that she was throwing, it was lining up so pretty on the corner of that plate, and they would not give it to her. And I was just like, dang, that's too bad, because she was throwing hard.
And listen, it's like, I'm all for a tight strike zone, and I said this to Amanda yesterday, like. But in the rule book, it states like sternum to knees. So what I'll find is that you'll get games and one umpire will either call one or the other. Like maybe a higher zone, it'll benefit someone like Nyjah. Maybe it's a lower zone, it'll benefit someone that has a drop ball. But like, you have to be able to have both. And I do think half a ball to a ball off the plate is totally acceptable, because hitting is, I'm not going to say it's that much better, because like I've said to you, I do think hitting or pitching under pressure and hitting good spots is going to beat elite hitting at times.
Right.
But
right.
It's a lot more strategic and pitching backwards and like really being able to execute big pitches. That's what it comes down to. And that's what I felt like I was able to take away from this Arizona Texas Tech series. This was a big series, and Courtney Lyle and I got the rubber match. They started Thursday because of Easter Sunday, and we saw Arizona win game 1, and then we were actually in the stands for game 2, and Texas Tech run ruled Arizona.
Yeah.
I was a little surprised they didn't start Miranda Stoddard, who's kind of been their number 2 all year. They wanted to go with Silva, lefty-lefty matchup. It was only her 3rd start of the season, and it lasted 19 pitches, and then they had to pull the chute.
Yeah.
A couple things. So we went and met with Jerry Glasso, and we met with Nyjah. And this is definitely a team that is on the bubble to host a regional, right? Like looking at RPI, like if I pull it up right now, Texas Tech is 19 RPI with 2 weeks left in the Big 12. And I'm covering one of them at BYU. So in my opinion, Texas Tech has to win out and win the Big 12 to put themselves in a position to host a regional.
Yeah.
I do think they're within driving distance to potentially go to a Texas, a Texas or an Oklahoma. I think they'd be too far from Texas A&M. I think on the miles, because that's to be within 400 miles. I would not want Texas Tech in my regional, simply because no matter what anyone says, like maybe this team isn't like, the biggest fear factor in their lineup, like, oh, we can make it work. But when you have someone that throws like Nyjah, dude, it really reminds me of that 2009 regional where we had to go all the way to UMass and we had to face Brandon Ballschmitter. And it's funny because I said that on the phone to Jen Salling today, the assistant coach for Washington, and she was just talking about it. And I was like, dude, you remember when we had to go to UMass? Like, we didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. I was like, I don't want to face a Brandish Ballschmitter from 2009 in a regional. And that's how people would feel about Nyjah. Like, mind you, it's a team, like, she's throwing a lot. She threw probably close to 300 pitches in that series, still battling this soft tissue issue with her leg. I don't know what it is. So she's not hitting. I think she got one at bat. And she's someone that's kind of like big in their lineup, right? She had 2 home runs opening weekend against Houston. Like, so that's an issue. And I will say, I mean, in game 3, she was cruising on the radar. Majority of the game, she was about 66 miles an hour. And in the last inning, when her team put up a 3 spot, 2 home runs, she was gassing it in the 7th at 73, 74. So I think she can nurse it and throw hard when she needs to.
But long term,
like she's going to definitely need a little bit of help, but you can't lose games.
Yeah.
So it's that fine line.
And then you've got regionals and super regionals where you're throwing potentially way more than you normally would. Yeah.
And
tough call.
When I think about Arizona, like their lineup, you know, they were in tough going up against Nyjah, and they were doing their best to try to make adjustments. She's hard, right? Like she's a rare breed to go up against with how she is. And the same thing you can say about, you know, Carlin Pickens and at times Tegan Kavan. But I would say my one concern for Arizona is not the hitting. It's who's going to be able to like be the one for the pitching, right? Like Devin Netz, you know, she went through her injury last year, didn't play. She's older. Miranda Stoddard, older. But I don't know to make a deep postseason run if they're able to do it. That would be my only concern, right? But that's the beauty of this. It's so much more open, I feel like, this year than it's ever been.
It's way more up in the air than I feel like it's ever been in the past. Like we've had years where it's like, oh, that person came out of nowhere. Oh, wait, who are they? Like James Madison, like when, like, I feel like that was a huge, big one. Even like back when we were playing and like, you're like, oh, hey, Hawaii, where'd you come from? But I feel like this year it's like, it's not just like the randos like coming in. It's like the playing field has shifted to where it's a lot more equal across all of it. And then you have like series, like you guys had to play, like Arizona, Texas Tech played early because of Easter. And then you have games where like Mississippi State, Oklahoma end up playing a doubleheader on Easter Sunday because of the weather. I mean, I feel like they were playing for like 12 hours on Sunday. I was watching and I was just like, it's still going. And they were long games. Like there was a lot of people on base. There was a lot of action. It wasn't like a pitcher's duel where it was just strikeout after strikeout. Yeah. And I feel like they were just such long games. And that was brutal. That was hard. I was just like, I was like, come on, guys, you can do, like, it felt like the little engine that could, like, 2 more innings, you could do it. Oh wait, there's another game. Just kidding.
I feel like Sam Landry, I made an appearance in every single game, and that was kind of probably a really big series for her because Mississippi State, no matter which way you put it, like they're always going to kind of like be a dog to face, right? Like they're also a team in a regional that I wouldn't really want to like match up with simply because they can get hot at the right time. They have a Raylan Chafin in the circle. Like they're tough. And I feel like Sam Landry probably grew a lot this last weekend of times where she needed to step up. Listen, pitchers these days are going to give up home runs, right? It's the ones that know how to bounce back, are locked in, and can like make that switch of it not consuming them. The hardest part is not giving up multiple home runs or 2 or 3 runs.
Right. When there's runners on base. Yeah.
That to me. So that was a big weekend for Oklahoma, probably gained them some confidence. I think another really scrappy weekend was Texas LSU. Yeah. Texas ended up winning the series. They had won on 2 walk-offs. There was an issue in the Saturday game. I think it was Saturday or potentially Sunday. I'm all messed up with the days. But there was an obstruction with Maddox McKee where she nailed Jolie Mitchell at first. Yeah, and Jolie Mitchell was not in the proper spot. And like, listen, it looked like she ran into her hard. I'm not going to take away that sometimes it's part of the game. I don't think she did it indirectly to hurt her whatsoever, right? But what I will say is the issue with this is that social media is so horrible and people are so horrible, like to the point where I saw something today that Jolie Mitchell put a TikTok out there to let people know, hey, dude, I'm good. Like you shouldn't be sending death threats to Maddox McKee about her running into me. First and foremost, people that always have an opinion on this are the ones that like truly don't understand. When you're in the game and you're in the moment, sometimes shit happens, right? I'm feisty. If I do know that if somebody did that to my teammate, there's probably going to be a ball that comes in close to Maddox
right at their head,
butt area, not at her head, but in her butt, like just to prove a point. Like that's part of the game. And sometimes you get hit, whether you're in the batter's box or whether it's an obstruction call. Like, but I think the outside people are the assholes, the ones that go on social media and try to tear her down and make her feel like shit and try to make her do XYZ of not loving the game anymore. You guys are the problem. Like, let the coaches and let the game speak for itself. And guess what? If Texas wanted to prove a point and say, hey, we're going to hate you, they would have done it. Julie Mitchell came back up the next AB, hit a home run. Awesome. That to me is like a statement. What obviously it's her job to, do that. But I just feel salty about it because people are so
salty about the reaction, right? Like you feel salty about people having an opinion about it that have no business having an opinion about it. It's okay. You go into that position and you go try and do that, and then we'll see how well you handle it.
But a death threat? Come on.
It is so telling of like where we're at as a sport, as a whole. I will say softball and baseball are very similar in this. We've talked about it with the issues with the parents and the travel ball and the opinions. Like I saw one of the influencers that I follow last night. She's talking about how her softball team is terrible. Her youth softball team, all these parents do is talk shit about each other and the kids. And it's like, everybody is so willing to have these opinions and they think that everybody wants to know what their opinion is. And they feel like they have this right to put their opinion out there and not deal with the repercussions of what that means. You can have an opinion on what happened. You can say she did it intentionally. You can say she didn't. It was part of the game. No matter which side of the line you stand on, so what?
Yeah.
That's where it ends. Oh, I think she did this. Oh, I think she did that. Okay, cool. We disagree. Done. End of story. Nobody got hurt. There was no fight. They handled it. I thought really well as players. And, it could have escalated very quickly and it didn't. They did a really good job of like keeping composure and just like handling it the way that it was handled. But I feel like, it's like you said, it's like people are they assume that their word is law and that their word should change the outcome or it should have some huge, but like, sometimes you can just keep your mouth shut. Like you don't have to have your word out there and hide behind a username or whatever it is and just say whatever you want behind your keyboard. Like just stop.
It for sure is a problem. You have to have thick skin to play. It doesn't matter what sport or what level, or if you even get the opportunity to play in college. I feel like it's kind of cutthroat now with kids that are 13, 14, 15, 16, you start like getting into that spot of like, maybe I want to pursue this, maybe at me, maybe all of these other things. And like, then you start to get like the jealous athletes, the jealous parents, like all the things. I don't know. It's definitely a lot to think about when, I think about
kids. And because, we're exposing them to that.
And it's funny because I felt like I had to have like a really grown up conversation with Maddie on the drive home from practice yesterday. Like they worked out for an hour and then they hit and then they pitched, right? So she like they all hit BP off me, front toss, and then the pitchers warmed up and they hit live and then she threw live and we get in the car and it's just like, well, I pitched terrible and I hit terrible, yada, yada, yada. Okay. So we're like driving home and I just like let it sink in for a second. And I say to her, I'm like, listen, dude, number one, you got to remember that you've taken the last 2 and a bit weeks off because of your knee from soccer. Okay. So that number one. Number two, you're not asking to like go out and do things. And I know you're busy and softball and schedule, and it's hard to want to put in extra time. But if you want to put in extra time, we will find a way to put in extra time. And I said, with you not playing soccer right now and not playing basketball, I said, you need to start to figure out that like as a growing girl, like soon you're coming into your own, like you have to learn to like fuel your body properly and what works for you, putting in extra time of like, we have a Peloton bike and a tread. I said, go down there and find time throughout the week And instead of wanting to sit and play Roblox, which, you know, we have time restriction with that, but it's like, go and sit and ride the bike. Like, look at the benefit of these things. And I said, hun,
Right.
when we push our body and we do hard things, not that it's like life or death with working out, but that's where we build confidence. So when we finish a practice and we don't feel like we do as well as we want to do, our first initial instinct isn't like, well, I'm terrible. I still feel confident in who I am and what I do because I know that I work hard. We doubt that ability, I think, sometimes when maybe we feel like we haven't been able to put in the work, then we automatically attack ourselves. And that was just an example of it, right? So it's like the hard part with these, you know, our kids is like they are so busy with all these extra sports. We want to keep them feeling like they're kids as long as they can. But we also know with our daughters, like they're the older ones and like they're going to start to figure out like hormones and all the things. So we want to instill these like healthy habits in them to make them feel confident. And I said, I could care less about you being the best or the worst on your team for softball, Maddie. I said, the things that I'm talking to you about are like for your everyday life and what make you a better person, right? And she's kind of looking at me like I'm an idiot. And I'm like, these are definitely things that I wish that I would have had conversations with my parents about. And they did to an extent. I just think it's more, you know, we have more awareness.
Consistency about it, I feel like, because we know so firsthand like what that's going to be like for them. It's like these routines, these habits, these things that we're trying to teach you to do on your own without us having to prompt you is what's truly going to make that difference when shit hits the fan. It's, you know, if you had put in extra work and then you had a bad bullpen or something like that, it's okay. I know I still put my best foot forward. Sometimes it just doesn't work. Okay, how do we move on from this? And, you know, like the same thing with Penelope is like, she sits there after school and she might go play with beads or do whatever instead of doing her chores. So then at bedtime, like right before bed, instead of going to lay down, it's like, hey, have you done your chores yet? And she's like, well, no. Okay, well then you're not going to theater tomorrow. Well, and then it becomes this whole thing. It's like, we're teaching you that when you get home, there's a certain checklist of things that you need to get done. Yeah. Once that's done, you do the things you have to do. So you get to do the things you want to do. And there's like a process with that. There's consequences, there's actions, reactions, all these things. And it's so hard because none of the habits are things they want to do. Extra running, extra reps, extra conditioning, extra like extra work. Yeah. But I don't know that it's going to click for them until there's like a bigger reward sometimes. Is like those little wins, they're cool, but like whether it's making a team or it's, you know, getting a hit, stuff like that, it's like they need that instant gratification so much right now that it's like sometimes it's hard to get them to see that long-term goal. Yeah. So I think that's where I struggle the most right now. It's like, just trust me. Okay, well, they don't. Yeah, and the big thing is like, I feel like Maddie, you know, we've had this conversation before. She always needs like reassurance that she's doing a good job from me. Like she kept lingering around. Like I'm watching the pitchers throw live to the hitter. After she's done, she's like lingering. I'm like, bro, go away. Like go be with your team. Like, are you mad at me? No, honey, I'm not mad at you. That's the hardest part. It's like, I'm here coaching and watching these other kids and she has this fear of letting me down. But in all reality, I don't care if you do good or bad. I care about like your attitude more than anything. And like the work that you've done to get you to that point is what allows for us to accept the good and the bad. Right. I said, you're playing one of the toughest sports when it comes to failure. You will fail. You're going to give up big ass hits. You're going to strike out at times when it matters. And then you're going to be able to step in the box and step up for your team. And the high that you feel there is the high that we work for when we put in the extra time, right? Yeah. Everything about building confidence in female athletes. I really believe that because I feel like when you put in that work, you feel like you look good. And it's not all necessarily about looking good. I don't mean that, but like you feel like you look good because you feel strong. Like I've done it. I've done that time in. So I'm able to like swipe that card and spend that money, you know? All the money.
All the money. So anyways, that's kind of like the gist of that with Maddie. It just, Audrey's still so little, loves it. It's the best. She's so
much fun.
Even when she doesn't do well, she's so confident and I love it. It's just fearless, right? Like, let's
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. Yeah. Penelope made cheer. So that's going to be a new thing for us next year.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm not really sure how I'll fit in with the cheer moms because, that's really not my vibe. But like she was excited about it and she put in the work. She went to the rehearsals and the camps and the clinics and all this stuff and she made the team. So it's like, okay, so now she's going to have this extra thing she's going to have to juggle and prioritize between that and soccer and school. And I'm like, it's only going to get worse from here on out. So like you have to start understanding that like you can't commit to everything, but you have to be able to like prioritize your time, your energy, and like your mental stability. Like, I don't want you like going crazy off with these cheer girls and thinking that like all of your other expectations have changed. Not to say that there's like I'm not saying stereotypically, I'm just saying like they're preteen girls on a cheer team. It's, there's bound to be some kind of conflict that I'm not there yet.
Have you ever seen Dance Moms? There's a conflict.
Oh yeah. Oh, I forgot to text you. Penelope's been watching it and I blame you guys.
It's so, I'm not addicted to it, but my kids are. It's insane. These Dance Moms are insane. You think like youth sport parents are insane. I put them up there as like, this is 10 times worse.
Dance and gymnastics are the worst I've ever seen. The worst parents I've ever seen. And we went to the gymnastics thing this weekend.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I saw you post about that. How was that?
It was super fun. And again, the purpose was Charlie, who's in gymnastics, and she's 4. So I knew that it was probably not going to resonate with her as much, but I thought it would be cool for her to see these like big girls doing their thing. It's the championship. So like, I want to watch it too. And, like being in the same arena as like Olympians, like Jordan Childs, like watching her perform, like that is like an athlete. Like she was so amazing. I would have gone just to watch her. I thought everybody did great. Oklahoma could not miss. So they definitely deserved to win. They did so good. But like Penelope was super into it too. And I was like, it's just like soccer. Like people get scholarships for gymnastics and they can go to school and get it paid for. And then they compete on this stage and they get to have all these people watching them. And we're talking like the Dickies Arena, like in Fort Worth, it's massive. Yeah. And like, these are this is it. This is the epitome of collegiate athletics is to get to the championship. And I think it was a really good learning moment. I mean, Charlie was like in and out of it. Like she wanted cotton candy. Like that was her concern. But she was like, oh, Kira does that. Like some girl at her gym, she's seen her do something cool. And I'm like, exactly. And I think it kind of stuck home with her. But like with Penelope, I think it was more of like there are a lot of options out there. There's a lot of things that you can do. And when you put in that hard work, it pays off, right? Like you train your entire life for these moments. And those 4 teams were out there putting their best foot forward. And it was very cool to watch. I love gymnastics. I'm definitely an Olympic. Like I watch the Olympics. I like it. So I think it's a good thing, especially when they're little. It's good for like their flexibility and all that stuff. Long term, probably not. But I just don't think we're built for like a gymnastics lifestyle. But that doesn't mean it's not. I mean, those girls can do all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think it's pretty incredible. The commitment to being a gymnast is almost like you have to be a homeschool girly, right? You have to so much time and body and it's commitment. And I also think you have to have a body type. Like there's a body type that can do it. There's a body type that can't, unfortunately. That's the beauty of, at least I can sit here and say softball is like, it's not one size fits all. There's, maybe that's not the right statement to say. Whatever I mean is like, you can be so many different body types in our sport, big, small, strong, slapper. And I love it because there was a picture I saw on the weekend, Ryan Maddox, and she was 5'2" for Arizona, a little lefty, right? Like, so it just kind of goes to show that you can be whatever it is you want to be in that sport. But for some of them, it's tough. You can't be 5'2" in basketball, right?
Or volleyball. Yeah.
Or volleyball. Like it's just, so it kind of makes it like unique a little bit.
But don't you wish more parents would take that into consideration sometimes too? Sometimes I feel like they're forcing it, right? They're like, well, I want you to be good at gymnastics and you're maybe not it's just not, you're not flex. Like there is a piece of your physical prowess and like build that comes into play where it's like, or if, you know, you're forcing them into baseball or softball and it's like, they're just not built or want to like hone in on those types of skills. Like hand-eye coordination, if you don't have that, like
you're done.
It's just not gonna work out. Like Penelope, she's not good with the balls and the catching, and her feet, great. Okay, cool. Stick with soccer. But like not all parents want to hear that either. So
but I'll trying multiple things. Put your kid in a position, a bunch of different things, and then they kind of figure out whatever it is that their body's meant to do. And mentally, like each sport's so different. Like softball, there's a lot more time, right? Like
on and off switches. Yeah,
like 45 minutes in between each AB. Like that's a lot. But you think about basketball or volleyball, like it's so fast paced, quick paced decisions, fitness up. Like there's so much, right? Same thing with soccer. Like you're always thinking the next play and big field, lots of running. So I don't know. I liked and always loved softball for like that piece. Is like I felt like the moments could feel big and heart pumping, and how do I learn to like deal with it, slow that game down, and like deal with my own personal emotions in the moment, and how that can affect the rest of the team, meaning the pitcher, right? Like everyone ride or die off of the pitcher's demeanor and how they're going about it. So I don't know. I am going to Texas A&M again this weekend. I go to college. Yep. I fly to Austin on Saturday. I'll drive to College Station, stay the night Saturday, call the 11 o'clock game Central Time, and then drive back to Austin and fly out Sunday night. Yeah.
That's fun.
It'll be good. I'm excited. I have not seen Arkansas in person this year, and I feel like Texas
they've had some big games. Yeah.
Texas A&M, like being in the number one spot, number one RPI. You know, what's funny is everyone always talks about who? Tennessee. They talk about Texas. Why is no one talking about Texas A&M? This is the number one seed in the country. Like the RPI is number one. Like, so I asked Coach Trisha Ford that on the call today, and I loved just her response, right? It's like people, she goes, people will be talking about us soon, but I get it. And that's the shit that fires us up, and it should, right? And I also feel like Texas A&M is still pretty new to all of this. Yeah. You know, they had a good run there with Scarborough and Megan Gibson, and they made it to the, you know, national championship. I know that Amanda Scarborough was hurt, but, you know, Joe Evans was there for a long time, and then Tori Vidalis, and then they made one last run to the Women's College World Series. I think it was in 2018, but I could be wrong.
I think you're kind of accurate.
And then that was the last time that I really remember Texas A&M being like, you know, Tori Vidalis was a dog.
Yeah.
And so now that Coach Trisha Ford has been in the mix, right? She's in year 3. You took a team to a super regional last year and took Texas to game 3, the number one seed in the nation. And then now you're number one seed in the country. Stay quiet. Let people think whatever it is that they want to feel. Because if I can go behind the scenes under the radar, because the more pressure you put on yourself when you are the number one seed, that stuff can eat you away, right? I know that because I feel like I've lived it at Washington after we won. It's like the number one seed, and are you going to do it again? And all the things. It's like sometimes it's nice to just
under the radar, flying under the radar. I feel like, especially when it comes to rankings, is it's more fun that way. Because then you have a situation where like then they get run ruled by Missouri, like it, and then all they keep saying is like they run rule the number one team, the number like, and that's when they choose to say it, like, but they won't talk about them before that.
And it's crazy too, because you know, one of the things that was like that I asked her about was like, okay, y'all played a doubleheader on Friday, grind. Emily Kennedy threw 10 innings in the combined 2 games. They go into extra innings. And then you're not going to go back with Emily Kennedy after she's just pitched 10 innings on Friday. And then, not to mention, when you think about Missouri, like yeah, their record may not be great, but they took down the number 1 seed in the country in Oklahoma. And then all of a sudden, it's like, if you get Marissa McCann throwing well, which she's been inconsistent this year, but if you get her throwing well, she's 70 miles an hour with good command of her pitches. That's hard to face. I don't care who you are, right? And that's what Coach Trisha Ford said. Like, they're a damn good team. And obviously, when we didn't, they didn't throw Emily, and they found a way to do that to us. But the SEC is hard. Every weekend is hard.
Mm-hmm.
You're seeing pitchers have higher ERAs. You're seeing pitchers be more mentally tired because it's more taxing. Every weekend, you're getting someone's best. And that is what you sign up for. Right. And I do think the teams that are able to, I said this a couple of weeks ago, thrive through the chaos and love the hard and take care of their bodies and their sleep and recovery and all of those things, which you tend to want to do the older you are, because your body hurts more. But the ones that can do that and mentally stay tough throughout tend to be the ones that are the sharpest when it matters, right? Yeah. So that would probably be my biggest thing moving forward. But when I think of, like, I actually have the Texas A&M Louisiana call tonight, right? Which, when people get this podcast, this game will already be done. But a pretty tough midweek game for Texas A&M, and then they're going to head right into Arkansas, and then Texas A&M goes right into at Tennessee, and then SEC tournament. Are you kidding me? That's tough.
They really saved the best for last there, didn't they? They're just pushing themselves at the end. No, it's exciting. I'm excited to listen tonight in the mid. I like midweeks because it's always like sometimes there's so many games on Saturdays and Sundays. I'm like, I don't know which one to watch. Like, I can't decide. I know.
And when I do the 4-box too, I feel like I'm like, okay, what am I listening to? What am I looking at? Like, but I want to watch all the games. And not that I'm ever really home on the weekends, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, on our phones, all the things.
Yes.
Before we log off, I do want to say that we're gonna potentially post a GoFundMe for a little bit of a sad story. We're not going to get too far into it because we'll both cry. But we're sending our thoughts to the Umpqua Community College community, the entire community, as one of their players, Kylie, I think that's how you say it, Jones, and their coach, Jami Strinz, were both killed in a tragic car accident while they were on the bus traveling as a team back from a doubleheader. And not going to go into too many details, but we are sending our thoughts with you guys. It's an unimaginable loss and tragedy that you guys are dealing with. And we're going to try and post the GoFundMe somehow just to keep the support up and, reach out to the resources that they're offering, because I can't even imagine going through something like that as a team. Number one, losing somebody, but then also being there and part of the crash and the accident. It's unimaginable. So we're sending our thoughts to you guys while you deal with that. And we'll be covering lots of stuff. Hopefully we'll be back next week. If not, we appreciate you listening in, and we'll be back soon with more stuff. Thanks, guys.